I definitely say I'm most passionate about business and film. My love for business, I'd say, is definitely tied in with like my love for fashion. Took a couple business courses and did DECA earlier on like high school. And I'd say like doing incubator, which I did like last year and this year, was like the best decision I've ever made. For business school, it's actually quite a story, because originally when I was in incubator, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I mean, I was obviously into business, but I didn't think that there would be a way for me to tie in that with the company I wanted to make, but it ended up being the case. I'd say sustainability, fashion, and business all three are very important to me. Because like in middle school, we had like uniforms, so, you know, not lots of like expression that you can do with that. But then during high school, I started caring like a little bit more, I guess because I finally had that option to be able to care in the first place. Freshman year, I started kind of experimenting with things, and then like slowly but surely, I found that I really liked certain types of style, like Y2K or like hyper feminine stuff or whatnot. Yeah, and then it just kind of grew. I love just wearing like quirky things that make me feel good. I guess it's obviously like a way to express myself, express my tastes. For me, it's just fun. I like going to the mirror and like looking like, hey, I look so pretty and like fun. And
I think my first impressions of Sophie were, definitely from a materialistic standpoint, like very fashionista, fashion forward, well put together, not only in terms of like her looks, but just also the way she carries herself and communicates. It became very clear early on that she is a deep thinker about the problems, the customers, and the strategies that she takes. She's very methodical, asks really great questions, seeks advice, doesn't just run off of assumptions. She's intentional and diligent in her work.
I'm interested in like sustainability and fashion. Like I've tried to get into like thrifting and stuff, but I don't like it. So then I was like thinking of ways to make buying sustainable clothing like easier. So then like that brought me to the secondhand clothing subscription box service thing I wanted to do. But it just didn't work out. People were not interested. So yeah, I obviously chose to pivot because I just wasn't getting any sales. But when I moved on to my second business of the clothing swap app, I definitely liked this aspect of like a circular closet. Because in my original business, like once you get your box, you could also donate items, right? So and then we would take those items and like distribute it to others. And so it was kind of like this like circular like fashion cycle, which I really liked. And so I was thinking of ways to kind of bring that energy into my new business idea, because I think that really inspired me. And so yeah, that brought to like the clothing swap app, where it's literally like trading items. So there's nothing more circular than that.
I would say that Sophie is not someone who would willingly get up on a stage. Like she would never join a club. She would never go out in school meeting to like just start talking in front of a huge crowd. That being said, the things that she does really pushes her to talk. For example, in Incubator, she went to the Startup World Cup and had to speak in front of a crowd of, I would say, like at least 1,000, pushing 3,000. And it's definitely a challenge for her, but to see how she was this shy person and now is this like super cool person who has this confidence to speak on stage in front of such a huge crowd is very inspiring.
I was already kind of a film kid because my dad made me watch lots of interesting films as a kid, so I had like a knowledge of that a little bit. I never really thought of making films. I think it was like freshman year, it was like club day or something, and like I was walking past and I saw like Ethan with his like film club booth. It was actually like the first year of film club, and then like I saw like, oh, make your own film, stuff like that, and I was like, okay, like that's definitely like an opportunity. So yeah, I signed up, and then like, because they do this like annual like short film production, so yeah, I wrote a screenplay for that. It just continued from that like very first film. I get inspired by random emotions I'll feel, or like when I'm reading a book, and like sometimes there's like this very small part of the book or like a specific piece of dialogue where I'm like, wow, that's so interesting and that's so sad, and then I'm like, I start thinking about how sad that is, and then I'm like, let me write that down. I put in a Google Doc to like remember that feeling, and I'm like, I want to make a film that's centered on this feeling or this like specific action that this one person did. Anything with like intense emotion usually, I don't know, maybe because it's like I'm a Harker kid, so my life is pretty boring. So I try to find like interesting stories or like people with very dramatic lives, because my life is not dramatic at all.
I mean, definitely she's a very creative person. Sometimes it's really weird to me how her mind works. Like, she just comes up with the most crazy creative ideas, and it's really out there. And that's one of the things I really like about her. She's really intense, I would say. She cares a lot about the things that she does, and you can really see that in how much effort she puts into them and how much time she spends thinking about them and putting creative spins on things. And I would say that's one of her main strengths.
You have to work with others, and you have to get good at working with others, because I'm not very, eloquent when it comes to my words, although I am trilingual, so maybe it's that. My English isn't like super great, especially like when it comes to film, you have like this distinct like vision, but for me it's all feelings. So then like explaining that in words is sometimes quite difficult. And so learning to express that idea so that someone else can understand it sometimes can be a little hard. With film, I think collaboration was a big thing that I had to learn, because I always knew how to work with people, but I just didn't like it. I remember like the first day of my film class, and then Mr. Martinez was like, oh, film, it's such a collaborative medium. You can't make a film all by yourself. And then I kind of rolled my eyes because I was like, nah, you can. I'm definitely sure I can find an exception. But then we did like a couple projects in that class. I guess I really started to see the value in working with others, definitely. Because one, it makes it a lot more fun. And then also, like, I think in the beginning, I saw like making films or like making art as this like personal thing. Because I mean, it's a very personal thing. So then I was like, no, I don't want like other people coming in and telling me how to do things. And also it's like, I have this specific vision and I have this passion. I don't want people getting in the way. They won't understand, stuff like that. But as I continued pursuing my own projects and like continuing with like film class, like I realized the value in having people. It's so much more fun, and they give you like great ideas. Yeah, I'd say like my favorite feeling when like making a film is like the feeling of like passion and excitement, because you're like, oh, I know exactly what I want to do. Like you're just so like pumped, and having that feeling with someone else, I think, is the best feeling in the world.